Her husband was shocked to discover that his wife, who had just given birth, was suffering from breast engorgement and that she had asked another man to help relieve it. Witnessing this with his own eyes, he was so enraged that he spat up blood on the spot. Yet he didn't rush in to stop them, and for one cruel reason. The man in the room was the baby's biological father. It all started 2 years earlier. Meng Beichen had fallen in love with Yu Shuang, the daughter of the wealthy Shen family, but her father had forbidden their relationship. Yu Shuang was determined to prove her devotion. She told her father she'd endure any hardship to be with Meng. Finally, Mr. Shen relented and agreed to their marriage, but with a bizarre condition: Yu Shuang must first bear an heir with excellent genes for the Shen family, and the source of those genes would be chosen by the Shens themselves. Desperate to be with Meng, Yu Shuang agreed to everything. When Meng found out, he was devastated, but he too was willing to compromise if it meant staying with the woman he loved. Soon after, Yu Shuang, following her parents' arrangements, became pregnant and gave birth to a daughter. In the months that followed, Meng worked 3 jobs a day to give Yu Shuang a comfortable life. Before long, he'd saved up his first sum of startup capital and even secured an investment from a prominent international investor, alongside his junior colleague. The offer was life-changing. If he went abroad to focus fully on developing the project, his future would be boundless. But he turned it down without hesitation. All he wanted was to go home and cook for Yu Shuang. Yet the moment he got home, he saw Yu Shuang in a room with Zi Qian, the baby's biological father. Yu Shuang approached him, her tone hesitant. She said they still couldn't get married. Her father, she explained, had changed the rules. Since she'd given birth to a daughter first, she now had to have a son before he'd allow her to marry Meng. Meng felt betrayed. But what hurt even more was that Yu Shuang had simply agreed to her father's demands without putting up a fight. Just then, Zi Qian spoke up, his voice sharp. Yu Shuang just gave birth, and she's already trying to get pregnant again, all for me. She sacrificed so much. How can you still be unsatisfied? Meng laughed bitterly. You're nothing but a pawn the Shens hired to provide genes, he snapped. You have no right to comment on our relationship. What came next stunned Meng even more. Yu Shuang stepped in to defend Zi Qian. For the sake of our love, she pleaded, can't you endure this a little longer? But no man could accept such absurdity. Meng pushed her aside and walked into a room. He needed space, alone. Before he could even begin to process his grief, Zi Qian burst in and slapped him hard. The baby had suddenly developed a fever and started spitting up blood, and the entire Shen family was convinced Meng was to blame. Mr. Shen, without a shred of evidence, accused Meng of harming the Shen family's child. He ordered his men to drag Meng to the ice storage room. Yu Shuang also cried and accused him. We agreed that you can be together after waiting for a while. Why are you so cruel to hurt my child? Meng could only helplessly defend himself. Master Shen became impatient and locked him in the ice cellar. As the cold seeped into his bones, Meng's consciousness faded. All he could see were the promises Yu Shuang had made to him after giving birth, and the cruel reality before him filled him with despair. An hour later, he was finally let out. But instead of leaving, he returned to the Shen household, determined to take the woman he loved away with him. What he saw next left him horrified. Zi Qian begged Yu Shuang, I know you love Meng Beichen, but the situation is urgent. If the breast milk is blocked again, the pain will be unbearable, and the child is crying and wants milk. Please help the child and give me a chance. Yu Shuang hesitated in despair, nodded, and lifted up her clothes. Meng Beichen, watching from afar, was so overcome with rage that he spat up blood. But he knew the terrible truth. If he rushed in, what right would he have? After all, Zi Qian was the baby's biological father. Crushed and hopeless, Meng went to the street and drank one bottle of liquor after another, trying to numb himself to what he'd seen. Just then, his junior colleague found him. She'd always had deep feelings for him and had confessed her love to him many times before. Each time, he turned her down. But that day, he agreed to go abroad with her. Once things here are settled, he said, we'll leave for overseas. Soon after, Meng attended the baby's first birthday celebration. He'd only wanted to see the woman he loved one last time. But during a family photo session, a wooden crate behind Zi Qian suddenly toppled over, hitting him square on the ground. Yu Shuang was so frightened that her whole body froze. She was extremely anxious and immediately sent someone to send Zi Qian to the hospital. Meng had no intention of getting involved, but Yu Shuang was convinced he'd sabotaged Zi Qian out of jealousy. Why else would the crate fall only on him? She fumed. To vent her anger, she grabbed a whip and lashed Meng until his body was covered in bruises and wounds. I told you to wait a little longer, she screamed over and over. Why would you hurt him like this? The beating was so severe that Meng was seriously injured and had to be hospitalized on the spot. This incident opened Meng's eyes completely. He told Yu Shuang he wanted to break up. He would step back and let her and her family live their lives. Yu Shuang panicked then. I know you've suffered so much for me, she said, but am I not the one you love most? Isn't it worth enduring a little more for the person you love? Meng's response was cold. You know perfectly well whether you've ever had me in your heart. After everything he'd been through, he'd made up his mind. He was done with Yu Shuang and done with this absurd relationship. But Yu Shuang was still deluding herself, thinking Meng still loved her. She made an even more outrageous request. She wanted him to attend her wedding to Zi Qian. It's just for the baby's sake, she insisted. We won't even register our marriage, it's just a formality. You can trust me. Meng couldn't help but laugh at the absurdity. They already have a baby, he thought. Marriage doesn't even matter anymore. But he still said yes. He decided he'd attend the wedding, then leave for good. At the wedding, Meng felt a huge sense of relief. No more anxiety, no more longing. He'd come only to say goodbye to his old self. He even took Yu Shuang's arm and gently handed her over to Zi Qian. As he looked at the two of them, Meng knew Yu Shuang had long forgotten the love promises they'd made. With that, he spoke his final, resolute words. It doesn't matter if you've forgotten, because I'm leaving for overseas soon, and I'll never see you again. I wish you a long and happy life and a house full of joy. We'll never meet in this lifetime.